पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। We'll recite the invocation verses for Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Those that know can, or you can just repeat after me. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraet nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So, the topic for today's discussion is my little set of notes here, is the 4 regulative principles of goodness. So that is what I wanted to talk about. Whenever anybody comes to a Hare Krishna temple or a ISKCON temple, and within few weeks, if he talks to some people, if he interacts with people, very quickly one will be told about these 4 regulative principles. And these form the basis or the foundation, a part of the foundation for practicing spiritual teachings. So you cannot escape these 4 regulative principles. The way our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, whose Archa Vigraha is there, he founded this whole institution and the movement of Hare Krishna and ISKCON is in a way where the emphasis is on application. It's not just some pravachan movement where you can come and listen to some classes and go and feel good. Or your attendance in the class itself is your spiritual practice. That itself is very good, by the way. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya is very important, to hear Bhagavatam or to hear Bhagavat Katha. But simply by hearing and not applying it, the progress becomes very, very slow. Because ultimately, actually by hearing, at some point or the other, one will get the impetus to implement it. So the point is that implementation is very, very important in Krishna consciousness, action. And these 4 regulative principles form a very, is there echo? Form a very, very solid foundation for practicing spiritual teachings. So, and for some people who come, for some people it's okay, but for some people these four principles form a very big barrier. They are almost in the face. So anybody knows what these four principles are that we have been talking about for the last 2 minutes? Any one of them? What are they? Yes, Prabhu. Any one of them?
Illicit sex.
No illicit sex. No illicit connections. There is allowed sex within the institution of marriage, but not outside that. Okay. What's the other one? Yes?
A vegetarian diet.
A vegetarian diet. Very nice. No meat eating. Meat, fish, eggs, all those things. Basically, no harming of any animals. So, that's the second one. What's the third one? No gambling. Very nice. And gambling does not only include gambling in a casino in Las Vegas. It is anything that we gamble on, which means that we expect unfair returns without our efforts. You put in your effort and you get the return. When you, not unfair, maybe not the right word, but disproportionate, like you say, too good to be true. Now even gambling isn't too good to be true, because most of the times it's not true. As they say in Las Vegas, the house always wins. Nobody else wins, right? So on an average, everybody comes out at a loss, but yes, momentarily there are people who, whose fortunes may turn if it's the right day, the right time, and they chose the right numbers, right? So that kind of expecting to make quick returns based on, not based on your effort, but simply based on some kind of a gamble. So even if you're investing in penny stocks, it's a gamble. Now this does not mean that you should not put your 401ks into some kind of mutual funds or something which is more safe investments. So if there is interest, we can talk about that. But gambling like on penny stocks or day trading, and your whole mind is just looking at the screen of the stocks, that's as good as gambling. And what's the fourth one? So we covered illicit sex or no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, and the fourth one? No intoxication. This is kind of straightforward to understand. Intoxication means liquor and all the other alcohols and anything that clouds your mind and your judgment. So even the DMV says that you shouldn't drive in an intoxicated state. They penalize you heavily. And when I took the driving test many years ago, and I'm sure the principles of intoxication haven't changed since then, the idea was that it delays it causes a gap in your judgment. And in driving, a split second can mean everything. It can mean between life and death. Whether you put the brakes now or 1 second later can make all the difference between life and death. But they still allow some amount of, okay, as long as it doesn't cloud your judgment that much, then it's okay, you can drink so much. But it is not just while driving. Every decision we make is not a split second decision. There are so many things that we make on a gradual way, premeditated. We think about it, that's how I will cheat this person, this is what I will do, all kind of premeditated. And that constant consumption of intoxicants clouds our judgment in a long-term basis as well. Why wouldn't it? If it can cloud it on a short-term basis, which DMV says, which the whole world says, why it doesn't cloud it on a long-term basis as well? So clouding the judgment. So these are the 4 regulative principles of goodness. And these are very, very essential for spiritual growth. Because spiritual growth, in a sense, like just taking the example of driving, is like driving on the straight road, on the path of dharma. You shouldn't go on the, if you're supposed to drive on the right side, you shouldn't go on the left side. You can't even change lanes, otherwise you'll knock someone else out. So, walking on a straight line is walking on dharma. These principles promote spiritual progress. They enable us, they lay the foundation for making us go on the path of dharma. And spirituality starts with dharma. Dharma is not the end of spirituality, as again we all know, many of us, the end of or the highest level of spirituality is bhakti, Krishna bhakti or bhakti yoga. But it starts with dharma. And dharma starts with following these principles of goodness. So these principles of goodness, just by being vegetarian, even a donkey is vegetarian, isn't it? So just by being vegetarian doesn't mean you are spiritual. A donkey, a goat is not spiritual, right? But they are all vegetarian. A goat is a very nice person as well, person or whatever, animal, right? If you touch it, it won't bite you. Try touching a tiger. You might not end up being alive. It will eat you. But a goat will not eat you. You can touch it, you can even punch it, you know. It may yell, but it will tolerate, isn't it? So the principles of tolerance, cool and calm, you can see the difference between a goat and a tiger. So, however, just by being, but a goat is not spiritual. The goat cannot ask itself, what is the purpose of my life? Who is God? Or who is the superior authority that is controlling everything? What should I do with this goat life that I have received? These are the spiritual questions. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So, these principles of goodness are by themselves not being spiritual, but they lead, they form the best platform, as Srila Prabhupada says, or the best mindset to promote spirituality in our lives. So that is why there is so much stress on these principles. It's like if you want to learn something, first you have to come to school. You can't be a complete absentee and then hope to gain the knowledge. So first thing to, is to get up in the morning on time, get in the bus and come to school. So it is like that. These are the good habits which promote, and then yes, when you sit in the school, you have to also pay attention, you have to internalize and learn. Those come later. So right now we are focusing on the platform aspects, which are these habits of goodness. And these 4 habits are not everything. One can say, what about lying, cheating, this, that? They are not mentioned. So only if I don't eat meat, if I don't drink liquor, if I don't have illicit connections outside marriage, and if I don't gamble, am I now a good person, ready to absorb all kind of spirituality? No. We will see that in today's class. However, these principles are very hard to follow, especially in Kali Yuga, for many people. And we have been conditioned, trained, we have developed these very strong habits in some way or the other, in some capacity, to break these principles. And when we are reminded that we have to follow these principles, our mind starts getting trained. A few weeks or months back, I gave a class here on training the mind by repetition. So you can go and listen to that class. But by repeated following of these principles, every time we are reminded, no, I have to do. It reminds us of generally being a good person. These 4 principles actually promote 4 very, very important qualities in human beings. So the principle of no meat eating, the quality that it promotes is that of kindness, compassion, and mercy. So it's not just about kindness to those animals that we would otherwise cut and eat. It is the kindness that develops in our heart towards everyone, even to our fellow beings, our colleagues. We won't cut them and eat up, but we can still, that promotes kindness to them. It's not just kindness to the chicken or the cow who one might eat, or the fish. It promotes kindness and compassion in our hearts towards everyone, which you will all agree is a very, very important quality of goodness. Secondly, what's the next one? No intoxication. So, intoxication produces, as we said, lack of judgment or loss of judgment. So, when we are not intoxicated, we promote the value of no envy, no what is known as enmity towards others. We promote a value of discipline. There is intoxication is vegetarian. Somebody said to me, so what's the problem? It's just grapes. What is it made of? Grapes, maybe. What else?
Barley.
Barley. A beer is made of wheat, I think. So it promotes discipline in our life, to control ourselves, tolerance. In tempting situations, we don't give in. Oh, it's okay. Once in a while, it's okay. One time, somebody asked some religious leader, some priest or somebody, found him drinking something, even though he would say that you shouldn't do that. He says, why are you doing that? In moderation, it's okay. So this principle that in moderation, but still, yes, everything, yes, gradually we should reduce. It's not like from tomorrow, if you have been doing all these things or some of these things, one should aim to cut it down gradually. Or yes, somebody can just cut it down from tomorrow, everything gone, pull the plug completely. But for some people, gradual things work. But it works on the other side also. First, it starts in moderation when you're not doing it, and then it becomes increasing also. So in the same way, like gradually we can reduce, once we start, gradually it can increase also. And then it will no longer be in moderation. You will not know how quickly you came from in moderation to in fullness, or what's the opposite of moderation? Yeah. So that is discipline and clouding the mind, resisting temptation. Then gambling promotes, or no gambling promotes truthfulness. Because once you start gambling, so many things can happen. You lose the money, then you have to steal money, you think, I will make it up. Look at the Pandavas, what happened once they started losing. They went to the point where they lost everything. And then such grave consequences happened. So truthfulness is promoted by no gambling, and no illicit sex promotes purity or cleanliness. cleanliness of the heart. It's not just cleanliness of body. Yes, body you can clean by going into a shower. But it's the cleanliness of heart. And cleanliness of heart is called what? Purity. Pavitrata. So these are the larger aspects of these four principles. It's not just about, oh, I'm not doing these four things. But are you carrying purity in your heart? Are you truthful? Are you disciplined? Do you resist temptations to bad habits or when provoked to any kind of temptation? And do you, what was the first one? Compassion, meat eating, compassion. Are you kind and compassionate to everyone? So these are the principles that it promotes. And then above all, there is a fifth principle as well, which many of us forget. What is the fifth principle? This is the trick question. This is the hard question. This is the rest were the newbie questions. This is the pro question. So what is the fifth principle? Technically, there are 5 regulative principles. Anybody? I mean, all those are wonderful. I don't want to say that's not a principle, but I'm on a certain line of thought here. And according to that, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the fifth principle is attachment to wealth. Attachment to gold. Gold is a general term, but it means attachment to wealth, which gives rise to these four. It is the birthplace of these 4 bad habits, or the reduction, the diminishing of these 4 qualities. When one is too much drenched in wealth, and not only drenched, you can be drenched in wealth, but when you are attached to it, there is a difference between being drenched and being attached. So being drenched in wealth and being attached to it, which means thinking that yes, this is mine, I am so powerful, this is all mine, feeling so proud about it, using that as a means to other things, that I have this wealth, now using this I can attain everything, taking complete shelter of that wealth, thinking that that wealth is my pathway or my key to unlock many other things. Subduing others, oppressing others, receiving some kind of worship, some kind of praise, respect, all kinds of things. That is called attachment. Otherwise, it is there, like it's there, like, while you are walking on the street, you see a bank. It's there, it has a lot of money, but I'm not attached to it. I don't consider it mine. So there is a difference between that. So that is the fifth one. So we will go. Now one final point, and this will be the sort of the segue into the rest of the class, the next 30 minutes. Someone told me or asked me many years back that are these 4 principles mentioned anywhere? Like in the scriptures? Or, and this was the offensive part, I got super triggered when I heard this. Or did Srila Prabhupada just make them up? Especially because his mission was to come and preach in the West. And it's the Western people who are meat eaters, who are gamblers, who are, what is the other? Illicit sex, always doing all that, and drunkards. We Indians, from time immemorial, have been practicing all this. So maybe Prabhupada just made it up. Why are you imposing it on me, on Indians? I was massively triggered by that. It was very offensive. And no, these principles are not made up. These principles are present, are meant for all human of Kali Yuga. That is the commonality, or that is the discrimination. It's in the time dimension that the discrimination is present, not in the geographical, not west versus east. It is Kali Yuga versus other yugas. And it is mentioned nowhere else but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the absolute foundational textbook of Krishna consciousness. There is no other scripture more important than Srimad Bhagavatam. And these are mentioned there, which means it is mentioned for all human beings of Kali Yuga. Doesn't matter if you're Indian, American, Chinese, African, whatever you may be. And to be honest with you, I have lived in the United States for almost 18 years, 19 years now. And when I go to India, I find, at least in a place like Delhi or Bangalore, I mean, I don't visit the rural villages, I don't have family there. Maybe those are still pure, but at least these big places are more, I just can't speak how ashamed I feel and how sorry I feel on seeing the situation. I feel like America is at least, it's better, it's, more pious in some sense. Point being that things are just deteriorating so rapidly, even in the so-called place of, the land of Krishna and land of Rama, which is India. So it's not any geographical discrimination. All that is, people are just taking shelter of those false labels and doing all kinds of things. It's a big racket. You know what's a racket? Racket means something in the front, something in the back, else in the back, right? That's called a racket. When you run a racket, the front is like it's like a nice storehouse. In the back, what is going on is drug dealing. It's a racket. So something in the front, something else in the back. That's what's going on. Indian culture, Indian purity, all that stuff. And then all kind of nonsense is going on, if you really look. My nieces are in they attend college there. And they are very nice devotees. They are some of the best girls I have ever met, or I know. I mean, very pious. And they tell me how hard it is for them to survive in that college environment because of the kind of bad habits that both boys and girls are cultivating in their young ages. Absolutely shocking. So I wanted to go through some scriptural material. So that was sort of what was the essence of the class, okay? That there are these 4 regulative principles, and they are not in themselves spiritual, or they are not doing that doesn't make you spiritual, but that forms the best foundation, the best mindset to progress in spiritual life. So spiritual life, spiritual teachings have many more things, but this is the starting point. And it's not just these 4 very specific things, they are pointing to larger traits or qualities. And these are not just meant for one category or another category, it is meant for all human beings of Kali Yuga. So that is the summary of what we discussed so far. Make sense? You're following? And now I wanted to reference direct scriptures to, I find I'm a very sort of a rational, logical kind of a person. I'm very hard to convince, I don't believe easily, so I like to go to the source and see what is actually said. So here is Srimad Bhagavatam, and my plan is to recite 6 verses from Canto 1 chapter 17. So the story is like Parikshit Maharaj is touring his kingdom and he finds a cow and a bull in a very, very, very beaten up state. I was looking for a picture to show you. I can show you here. You all can see the screen here. So, I don't know if you can make out, but there is a cow and a bull, both are white colored and they are very badly beaten, their bones have been broken by this very evil person over here on the bottom left. And here is Parikshit Maharaj with a sword ready to kill that person who is causing so much distress to the cow and the bull. You following? So this cow and the bull, the cow is Mother Earth and the bull is Dharma. So that is the picture, and this person who is beating them, who has broken their bones, is Kali. Kali is Kali personified, the personification of Kali Yuga. The person who represents, or who is the representative of Kali Yuga. Okay, the personification of Kali Yuga, he is called as Kali. So Parikshit Maharaj sees this person and he holds him to account. Why have you beaten up Dharma and Mother Earth so much? Because Parikshit Maharaj is a righteous and a very, very dharmic ruler. And so that's where this is a slight portion of the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Kali. This is the conversation between them, between these two persons. Oops. This person with the sword, who is Parikshit Maharaj, who is the ruler, and Kali, who is the evil guy. So, this is the first verse. So we will, again, this is Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the most important scripture. It is considered to be the essence of the Vedas, the Vedanta and the Upanishads. Srimad Bhagavatam, if you don't have time to read anything else, then read just Srimad Bhagavatam. We do not have in our short lives time to read all the Vedas and the Vedanta and all that. Srimad Bhagavatam is very easy and straightforward to understand, more or less. So reciting these verses, understanding them is a great fortune. Just speaking these words of Srimad Bhagavatam is extremely beneficial to our spiritual growth. So let us recite these verses and I will read the translation and understand. The purpose is to understand whatever we discussed in the first half an hour, corroborate it through scriptures. Srila Prabhupada was not making it up at all. Whether he went to the west or east or north or south or up or down, he would have still had these four principles. Because these principles are coming from Bhagavatam, not Mila. So, if you all would like, please, we'll recite line by line, quarter by quarter, okay? Tapah shaucham daya satyam iti pada krite krita adharma amshaitrayo bhagna smaya sanga madaitava. So, what is being said here is that Dharma had 4 legs. And what are the 4 legs? Tapaha, Shaucham, Daya, Satyam. These were the 4 legs, and these are the same 4 which are represented by those 4 regulative principles. Tapaha, austerity or discipline. Shaucham means purity, cleanliness of heart, purity. Daya, compassion, and Satyam is truthfulness. Exactly the same which we had discussed earlier, isn't it? So these itihi padaha krite kritaha. Krite means in the Satyuga. So in the Satyuga, Dharma had these 4 legs. Now what has happened? Adharma amshaihi trayo bhagnaha. Due to the amsha of adharma. Now full adharma has not happened, but that will make progress in Kali Yuga. But amsha, because of at least 75% adharma. Trayo bhagna, 3 legs have been broken. And what are the 3 legs that have been broken? Smaya. Smaya means pride or discipline. Sangha. Sangha is referring to association with illicit association, illicit sangha. And madaihi means intoxication or the intoxication. So these 3 have been broken. So which one is left? Truthfulness. That is still left. And if you see in today's world, these 3 things, at least you can see around you, are rampant. It is perfectly legal to gamble in penny stocks. Will the police come and catch you? There is, well, you can say it's still, you cannot just open a casino like you can open a restaurant. You need extra licenses and all that, but still it is all very legal. Nowhere it is legal to lie. I don't think there's any law that says you can lie. Though it is happening and people are getting away with it, but it is not legal. It is completely legal to have illicit connections, isn't it? Is there any law which prevents it? As long as it is consensual. Yeah, you cannot force, but consensually you can do anything you want in a closed road. Nobody is going to come and check. I went in the local high school, and that was, I felt so happy that I'm homeschooling my children. There were big posters in the high school. I was like, that please report if something of this sort, please report if you are being forced into sex. That is when you are supposed to report. Rest everything is okay. That's what the unwritten rule was, or unwritten message was. That is okay. Don't just force. So that is, it's completely legal. Intoxication is completely legal. Go to QFC, Walmart, Costco, the whole section, right? Nicely decorated bottles. All that is legal, right? That is what is happening. Bhagavatam had predicted this 5,000 years ago. We didn't know about Costco, Walmart, Fred Meyer, high schools, Las Vegas, casinos. We didn't know what it had predicted. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, can you read translation loudly and clearly?
In the age of Satya, truthfulness, your 4 legs were established by the 4 principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But it appears that 3 of your legs are broken due to rampant irreligion in the form of pride, lust for women, and intoxication.
Thank you. Next verse. So now only 1 leg is remaining, which is that of truthfulness. So please repeat. Idanim dharma padaste satyam nirvartayed yataha tam jigrakshati adharmoyam anritena edhitah kalihi So, in interest of time, we'll just read the translation. Prabhuji, can you read?
You are now standing on one leg only, which is your truthfulness, and you are somehow or other hobbling along. But quarrel personified Kali, flourishing by deceit, is also trying to destroy that leg.
Yes. So, Parikshit Maharaj is saying to the Dharma, the bull, whose 3 legs are broken, he's saying now only 1 leg is left. What is that? Truthfulness. You see here, Satyam. Satyam Nirvartayed Yataha. Only Satyam is left, and Nirvartayed means you are somehow crawling. Hobbling around means you are just crawling a little bit, just able to move 1 inch by 1 inch. And this Kalihi is trying to break even that 4th leg. Sometime during Kali Yuga, even that 4th leg will be gone, and even truthfulness or lies, deceit, cheating will become legalized. So this is the prediction of Kali Yuga, what will happen. So for those who want to make spiritual progress in Kali Yuga, what should they do? The starting point is what we discussed, the 4 regulative principles. And that is mentioned in verse number 38. Very beautiful verse. Suta Goswami, the context is changing, so the speaker now becomes Suta Goswami. So please repeat. Suta Uvacha Abhyarthitaha tada tasmai Sthanani kalaye dadau Dyutam panam striyah suna Yatra adharmah chaturvidha. So Suta Goswami says that, so what happens, so there's a little bit story here. Let me just explain a little bit story. So, Kali personified, that person Kali here, this person here became very afraid of Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is very strong ruler. He is the grandson of none other than Arjuna. And he was personally saved by Lord Krishna from the Brahmastra. All these are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, some for a discussion for a later time. But he immediately surrendered to Parikshit Maharaj. He said, this is the age of Kali. I am the person Kali. I have been ordained to come here. And I am fully taking your shelter. Please don't kill me. Please. And Parikshit Maharaj again is compassionate. He is the embodiment of compassion, one of the 4 principles. He says, I am taking your shelter. Please give me some place to live. I have to live somewhere, no? So tell me where to live. So he says, okay. This is what this verse is about. Where he can live? Abhyarthitaha tada tasmai. Thus being requested, or thus being petitioned by the Kali. What did Parikshit Maharaj do? Sthanani kalaye dadau. Dadau means to give. Sthanani kalaye. To Kali he gave 4 places to live. The word 4 is not here, but he gave the following places to live. Sthanani means place. What are those 4 places? Dyutam. What is Dyutam? Dyut. Gambling. Wasn't it that the Dyut match that happened between Yudhishthir and the Kauravas, right? That is known as Dyut Krida, the gambling game. So Dyutam means gambling. Panam. What is Panam? Drinking. Striya. illicit association with the opposite sex. And Suna, this is not that obvious. I looked up the dictionary, I corroborated and everything. Suna means slaughterhouse. And that's exactly what Srila Prabhupada also translates. So you can go and live at 4 places: at the gambling house, at the drinking house in the bar, at the prostitution place, and at the slaughterhouse. You can go and live. Yatra adharma chaturvidha. You can go, Mr. Adharma, you can go at these 4 places where adharma is happening. Go, live in these 4 places. So, translation.
Sutta Goswami said, Maharaja Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution and animal slaughter were performed.
So you can see these are exactly the 4 principles. No meat eating means slaughterhouse, no gambling, dyutam, no drinking, panam, and striyaha means illicit connection. These are coming from Bhagavatam, not made up. Absolutely not. And these are meant for all of humanity in Kali Yuga. Bhagavatam was spoken at the beginning of Kali Yuga. Now comes the 5th principle. So Parikshit or Kali says to Parikshit Maharaj, wait a minute, you're tricking me. You're such a dharmic king, you are asking me to go and live in these 4 places, but there are no such 4 places in your kingdom. In your kingdom, these kind of places don't even exist. So where will I live? Essentially, I am left with no place to live, basically. Isn't it? So can you please give me some place to live? Actual place, some real place. Not these imaginary places. So like that, Parikshit Kali does yachana. Yachana means what? Petition or some kind of a request. So this is the response to that. So we will see. So what does Parikshit Maharaj say? Okay, you can go and live in a place where there is gold, or you can go and live inside gold. He gives him the place inside gold. From then on, from that point on, gold became contaminated. Jataru Tato Nritam Madam Kamam Rajo Vairam Cha Panchamam. So, Punah Cha Yachamanaya. Punah, again he petitioned, please let me, that's not a real place. These 4 places are not real. Please give me a real place. That is the Yachana. Jata Rupam means inside gold, in the form of gold. Jata means gold. So Jata Rupam Adat Prabhu. The Prabhu, the king, Parikshit Maharaj, gave him place inside gold. Jai Satchidananda Bhagwan ki. Tato Nritam Madam Kamam Rajo Vairam Cha Panchamam. So then he had these 5 places to live. Anritam means where lies exist. Madam, intoxication. Kamam is lust. And Rajo is passion or meat eating, refers to meat eating. And Vairam. Vairam cha panchamam. That's the fifth one. Because gold creates envy and enmity. Creates this feeling of you versus me. Us versus them. It creates that division. Brings in, gold is a very strong catalyst for Dvanda Mohena Bharata. Dvanda, duality. Me versus you. Rich versus poor. Friend versus enemy. Win versus lose. All those things. So it brings vair. Vair what is it? Vair hai. Vairam. The Sanskrit word is Vairam. Enmity. So the translation is, yes, translation, the personality.
The personality of Kali asked for something more, and because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because there is gold, there is also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity.
So in interest of time, we will quickly read the next translation as well.
Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaja Parikshit, the son of Uttara, was allowed to live in those 5 places.
And then the last one is also very important. Therefore, atha etani na seveta bubhushuhu purushaha kvachit vishesheto dharmashilo Raj Lokapatir Guruhu. So everybody, therefore, atha etani na seveta. Therefore, one should not do seveta, means seva of or association with, or should not encourage these things in his life. These things that were just discussed, these 5 things. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex, and no attachment to wealth. For people, bubhushuhu is a very important word. Bubhushuhu means for people interested in their well-being, because ultimately it will destroy you. Intoxicating at the time feels good, but then when you forget to press the brake on the red signal, it will destroy you. Vishesheto, especially dharmashilo, who are interested in dharma. Dharmashilo, who are interested in walking on the straight line, not crashing left and right. And some categories are given here. Raja, Lokapatir, Guru. Those who are kings. So I'm not a king, I don't see any kings here. But there are Lokapatir, leaders of people. Everybody is a leader of some people. Even a man is a leader of his little family. So Lokapati. And Guru, everybody is a Guru of somebody. Parents are Guru of children, teachers are Guru of their students. So everybody should follow these principles if they desire their own well-being and they don't want to crash and burn. This is the instruction from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will conclude here. Aarti has started. Thank you so much for listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada. So, okay, one last thing, translation. Yes.
Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religiousness, public leaders, brahmanas and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above-mentioned religious principles.
Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada.
अबे भूखो Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paripurikacharya, Astotasta Shri Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Shri Gauri Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Shri Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Shri Gauri Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sadgoswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. ISKCON Brahmana Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Purnanda Giri Govardhana. All verses of Sambhava. All verses of Sambhava. All verses of Sambhava. All verses of Sambhava. All verses of Sambhava.